I'm Beverly, and I'm on the witness stand.
Okay, everybody, and welcome back to the witness stand. I hope you've missed me. I have taken a little break after the Diddy and the Reed trial because, boy, that took a lot out on me. Trying to keep up 2 trials at one time. I've got a bunch of trials on the horizon, but one I want to talk about that's already started going is called the honor killing case. So I've made lots of notes. And you may have heard about it, but I am following the trial information and the testimony, which is a lot has happened. So I'm just going to try to fill you in as best I can. So what we're looking at is the Ali family. Mother's name is, and I'm going to probably tear these names to pieces, Zahra, Zahraa, Ali, and her husband no, that's not it. Ihsan, Ihson. Okay, so he's the father. They are from Iraq, and you know that their culture is different from ours. Now, I'm going to start out by telling you right out from the bat, I'm going to talk about part of a culture that if you get mad about it, you just get mad about it. I don't care because, if you make some really crappy comments in there, you know what I said, I'll delete you. I don't mind having a good conversation. I don't mind some back and forth if you're respectful. My problem is if you go after something political, which I don't talk about politics here, or you're downgrading somebody, or you're just being downright insulting, then I'll get rid of you. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Okay, so what I want to tell you is they came from Iraq. I cannot find when they immigrated from there. I have looked everywhere, and I have even used AI to try to find out, but there doesn't seem to be any documentation that I can find using any kind of immigration records, anything. But it appears that they've been here a while. So they brought their culture with them, which is fine. I don't have a real problem with that. What they do believe in is arranged marriages. Nope. I have a real issue with this, not only as a woman, but as a culture in itself. And I don't mean to sound like, okay, you came here, you need to learn the language. This is not anything to do with that. But what you do need to understand is if you come here, you must abide by the United States laws. And the last time I looked, murder was against our law. So let's talk about this. But the major players of this, and I should tell you, this is in Lacey, Washington, as in Washington State. So this happened back in 24, best I can figure is 24. They have a daughter, a 17-year-old daughter named Fatima. They have another daughter. I don't know what her name is. I think I've heard it a few times, but I don't know how to, which is not really part of the conversation, which I do wonder what they plan to do with her, if this is the plan for Fatima. Okay, so Fatima was a 17-year-old girl. She is going to a high school in Washington, in Lacey, and it was called Timberline High School. She has a boyfriend named Isaiah Barnes. They did not want her to date Isaiah. There's a reason for that. Isaiah's parents didn't want him to date her, and there's a reason for that. Apparently, there had been some sort of altercation between Zahra, the mother, and Isaiah. I found out later a little bit more about that, but there's a piece of it I can't verify, but I will tell you about what I heard. Okay, so Zara, mother, went and pulled, let me back up a little bit. Fatima, she was 17, Isaiah was 16. They were in this high school together. They had been dating for quite some time, unbeknownst to either parents, at least for the length of time. There had been some issues with the mother and Isaiah, and apparently Fatima had been skipping school, and so that was causing an issue. But the reason she was skipping school is she was running away. Parents decided that Fatima was going to marry a man in Iraq. Okay, so remember I told you arranged marriage, or maybe I didn't tell you, but the culture was the arranged marriage. She didn't want that to happen. Apparently he was an older man. Remember, she's 17, but he was an older man. She was in love with Isaiah, who was 16 at the time. The daughter, Fatima, said, no, I'm not going to marry this man. So she was trying to run away from home. Mom had her taken out of school 2 weeks before this incident. However, Fatima, and apparently a lot of the kids rode the city bus to get to school. Don't know why, but maybe it was where the location was. So Fatima went back to that school and asked for help. The school found her some sort of place to stay. I don't know if it was a women's shelter or what, but they found her some place to stay. Where there is an issue with the school, I think, was not that they did that. I think that was a wonderful thing that they did. But remember, she wasn't a high school student, but it doesn't really matter. If you are a counselor and a child, which she was a child, both of them were children at the time, they were under 18. If you are a child and you go to a counselor for help, they're obligated legally to help you. So all that was good. But what they did not do was give her adult protection when she and Isaiah went back to the bus stop after getting all of that arranged where she was going to stay. Now, I will tell you that I don't think it would have mattered, but there are a lot of people that have issues with an adult not going with her back to the bus stop. I don't have issue with that because there were a lot of people around. There were a lot of students. You know, there was a lot of people, and you would think this would not have happened. Okay. The Fatima and Isaiah saw the father's truck. I think he was in a truck. And so they were on heightened alert. The father did approach them. He started talking to Fatima in their native language, so nobody really knew what he said. I have not been able to find out, and you would think this would be obvious, but I've not been able to find out the translation of what he said. And maybe Fatima herself, maybe she told the police, but Fatima herself, even when she testified, did not say specifically what he said. But he went to talk to her, and at first, it looked like he was being firm by telling her she needed to go home. But it did not appear that it was forceful in any way until it started getting heated. Now remember, Isaiah is standing there, and all of these other teenagers from this high school are standing there. He started getting rough with her. And when he did, and he grabbed her, Isaiah stepped in. He punched Isaiah, closed fist, in the face. Isaiah fell back. And at that point, little bit of controversy there, because Isaiah, let's just say that it was seen two different ways. It was seen that the father was pulling Fatima down. But I think Isaiah made the comment that he still had hold of Fatima or the father's arms. Either way, he had hold and they all fell. Doesn't matter. What the father did next is what matters. The father puts Fatima in a chokehold. You know that old wrestling move? You know this? You know, and I don't know what this hand did, but this hand was around her neck and was choking her. The kids, Isaiah, everybody was trying to get him off of her. Isaiah was punching him as hard as he could in the top of the head. And then he started kicking him. And the whole time, the father wouldn't let go. Oh, I'm sorry, I hit my microphone. The father wouldn't let go. So he kept choking her. The kids saw her eyes roll back in her head, and she passed out what appeared to be 4 times. She was trying to grab his arm, and then her hands just went limp. So no matter what happened, she passed out at least one time, but of all accounts, multiple times. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't speak. Nothing. He was choking her out. He was trying to kill her because, well, that's what everybody thinks, including the prosecution. He was trying to kill her in what they call an honor killing, to save the reputation or the honor of the family. The girl has to do the arranged marriage or she's killed. And this is not the only situation that this has occurred in, which I've got more things. You know, I've got comparisons. Anyway, the other kids, they tried to get him off. Isaiah was yelling, "Call the police, call the police." Isaiah said when he testified that nobody called the police until they got him off of her. How they got him off? Craziest thing. As the city bus rolls up at its normal time to pick up the kids, the bus driver gets out, walks over to where the fight is, the struggle between Fatima and her father. And Isaiah said that the bus driver didn't help whatsoever. If you watch the video, it doesn't look like the bus driver helped. But I'll give the fact that maybe the video did not show everything from the right angle or whatever. And the video that we have to watch it, and you can go online and you will see this video. It's under honor killing. You can do Lacey Washington, you can do Fatima, you can do anything like that. You can use Ali, the last name. Anyway, you'll see it. But one of the kids videotaped it. I think that it was not released, but the police had it. But of all people or organizations, the Daily Mail from the UK got hold of it. I'm sure they paid a pretty penny to that kid that did that video. They got hold of it and they published it online. So it is on YouTube. Can't help but find it now. It's everywhere. I've watched it umpteen times. So when I talked about it, I could say this really happened. Bus driver goes over. He said in his testimony that he helped pull the father off, but nobody has said that in their testimony. So, okay, you're getting ready to hear my dogs bark. When they start, I'm just going to stop a minute because I have a shipment coming in, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is. They do not sponsor me at all, but I love them. It is Liquid IV. And if you, they don't like delivery people. I think I could talk over them. I love Liquid IV. In fact, I think it has maybe saved my life because I have chronic dehydration. Had a really serious issue at the beach one time on an island, and that's when I found out how bad my dehydration is. So I drink water all the time, and I never drink water that Liquid IV is not in. So shout out to Liquid IV. Okay, so getting back, the bus driver testified that he did help. There was a couple passing by, adults, and they saw what they thought was a big fight with high school kids because they didn't see the father. But they saw somebody on the ground. They didn't know if it was a boy or girl, whatever. The man gets out of his truck, tells the wife to call 911, which she does, runs over, and he, with the kids, pulls Isan, whatever his name is, the father, pulls him off of Fatima. And she's kind of out of it. She's like, trying to get oxygen back. She's out of it, and people are trying to help pull her up and get her away. But that man holds the father down until police can get there. Well, I think the father looked like he had worn himself out because the kids were beating the hell's bells out of him. So they hold him down until the police come. In the meantime, Isaiah comes to her and helps get her up, and they start running back to the school. It's not over because Mom, who is there, goes running over to her daughter, and you can hear her say in the video, I think she says it in their language, but you also hear her say, my daughter, my daughter, my daughter, but she grabs her around the neck. Fatima thought she was going to die, again, she's going to die. But there's some discrepancy as to if she was holding her, like cradling her. But why in John Hill would you hold her around the neck? So obviously she got charged too. Anyway, Isaiah, daughter, gets away from her. They run to the school. They run in the office. And Fatima says, and Isaiah agrees, that the father tried to kill her. Duh, he did. He did. It's on tape. You can't get yourself out of this. You can't. If he gets out of this, there's just no hope for any of us. There's just no hope. So anyway, the police are coming. I think the school calls the police to. Anyway, it's a mess. They call an ambulance for Fatima. She spent 2 days in the hospital. She couldn't speak. Well, she could speak, but it was very raspy and her throat hurt. She had bruises everywhere. But 2 days in the hospital. And now she's somewhere. They won't tell where, but they have found a place for her to stay. And I think she's doing an online school now, but I don't think anybody knows where she's at. If Isaiah knows, I've not heard that. Okay. So, yeah, father and the mother got charged with second-degree murder. I mean, second-degree attempted murder, and some other lesser charges. That father's not, he's going to prison. Probably for the rest. Well, I don't know if they can get for the rest of their life with attempted second degree, but he'll be found guilty of that. Now, the mother was charged with that also. I don't know that she'll get out of that. In fact, in the testimony that I've heard, wait a minute, let me re-say that. I don't think they'll find her guilty of that, of the second degree murder, but I do believe that they will find her guilty of one of the lesser charges. So anyway, I don't know what they're doing with the other daughter. I couldn't tell if the other daughter was older or younger, but I do know that she came upon the scene. Apparently, she and her mother were together. She came upon the scene. What does she do? She pulls out her phone and she starts videotaping. Okay. So she starts videotaping and she says stupid stuff like, I don't know, what did he do? Something like, what are you doing? Something like that. And somebody, I think it was a girl, pushed her from behind. I don't think there are any charges. I mean, they might want to charge, meaning the family or the daughter might want to charge, but that's going to get thrown out. Yeah, that's going to get thrown out. The man that helped, his wife that called 911, the bus driver, and a bunch of the kids have testified already. There have been medical experts that have testified on behalf of Fatima because I think they're still in the state's case. They may have finished up. Friday, I could find no evidence of testimony. Now, what I do know is Thursday afternoon, they still had a medical witness on the stand. And I will say that all the medical witnesses were experts in and or had treated Fatima, okay? But they were all experts in choking, strangulation, and violent assaults. I found them to be very credible. You might say that I did that because I am totally with Fatima and totally clink the bars on this mom and dad and put that dad away for life. Going back to the other sister, I keep wondering, have they arranged a marriage for her? Or is it one of those situations where she was just going to comply? I don't know. But, you know, the family gets a hefty dowry. I don't think they call it a dowry over there, but they get something out of this. And the fact that they consider it an honor for this arranged marriage. And it's quite common. So what I did do is I looked at other notable cases. And I found quite a few. So let me just hit a couple of them. Okay. Obviously, the Lacey case, you know, she survived with serious injuries. She's fine. at this point. I don't know that there's any lasting damage as far as physical, but there's definitely mental damage. And even when Isaiah testified, he broke down and cried when he talked about her eyes rolling back and her losing consciousness. One of the things, the reason that his parents did not want them to date was because Zara, the mom, had already been served a restraining order against her because she kept showing up at Isaiah's home looking for Fatima. You remember I told you she ran away a few times. I found something else that was interesting. I found out that she was, and it was dropped, or there's a little situation about her and kidnapping. And I don't know what that's about. I wonder if it's something she did to Fatima, or if this had anything to do with Isaiah. But I think Fatima did too. I watched this testimony, and I made notes, but I think I was so engrossed in those two testifying that I missed if Fatima did this. But Isaiah definitely said that they had been dating a year or maybe a little over a year, but let's just say a year, on the down low. And the camera panned over to Isaiah's father. And you could tell he did not know that. And you could also tell that he was perturbed. The look on his face was like he was PO'd. So I don't know, Isaiah might have toted one when he got home. But I'm sure that it didn't go well for Isaiah that night. But anyway, you could tell he didn't know. So I don't know about previous, but I do know that Zara, the mother, was also trespassed from that school. So I think I research this a little bit more. In this trial, in the Lacey trial, Fatima, they are going to consider this an honor killing. And this testimony is using this kind of language. Now, I want to point out this little nugget. The judge, and I'm curious to see what you're going to say about this. The judge barred anybody, prosecution, defense, even referencing the arranged marriage, because she said it would bias the jury too much. So I don't know. I can't really get with this, but what I do know is if any juror stated they did not know about this case beforehand, they're lying. And we're not biased. And I got on this jury and I knew that this was because she was involved in arranged marriage. There's no way that I could find this guy not guilty. If I heard about it, which, I said they had to have heard about it. If I said that, or I heard that beforehand, I couldn't find him not guilty. I couldn't. So we'll see what happens. Testimony resumes today. The state may have finished up that witness Friday, but I could find no reference to it. I could find reference that it happened, but I could find no film. And court TV is allowed in the courtroom. And then, of course, other stations are allowed to use court TV's feed. And I find a lot of information from very reputable attorneys, and then I research the hellacious out of these things before I bring it to you. And if I don't know, I'll tell you. But I am really, really curious to see what you think about this case. And I am really, really curious as to any of the things I've talked about, including the judge barring talking about the arranged marriage. Or the case and the cultural tradition, any of that, I wouldn't mind talking about, whether you agree with me or not. So let me know what you think. Trial should resume today. I would imagine that the defense will start presenting their case. I will be watching. And until then, you can step off the witness stand.
I'm Beverly, and I'm on the witness stand.